But like, because like at my core, I'm like, I want to be the guy that like could point someone in the right direction. Because for the first like 5 years of me doing it, I'm just like who can help me? But if someone were to just be like, this is how you do it, it would be huge.
How did you get into comics, dude? Like, what's your background? What was the first comic, or whatever that you picked up? Was it a manga?
Yeah. So when I was in, I've always liked drawing, and when I was in 5th grade, this kid named Chad brought a Shonen Jump weekly magazine, which is like those. Right. They're weekly anthologies. There's like 10 manga chapters in there of different series, and I remember he brought it to school, and I remember just looking at it and being like, "This is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life." Like and I read those. I read like that one anthology over and over and over, and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like it's a story, but it's all pictures. And so then I started making my own. And it was called The Quiet Spy. I still have it. It's in a box right there. And it was 500 pages. I did a 500-page like series, and every chapter was like 20 pages. It was crazy. I didn't have like I'd never seen a comic book yet, but I made like my own 20-page floppies. Like before I'd even known what comic books like were, but I was making 20-page floppies.
That's what a very unique thing. Like, I mean, a lot of us grow up on comics, get introduced to it. Like, I mean, like with me, it was like a neighbor, right? Or one of my friends had I think Duck, it's goofy comics from like Disney way back in 80s. And that's how I got introduced to it. And I know that's how many people got introduced to it. But like seeing that you just picked up that and then suddenly you're doing your own thing. Now, how old were you at this point?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I was in 5th grade. In 5th grade, but also like I'm young. What
age is that?
Oh, like 11, 12.
Okay.
But like I also like I don't know how old you are, Aru, but like I just turned 30. So
I just turned 50 last year. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. So like there's like that 20-year difference, a 20-year gap. So like like none of like I didn't know a single person who read a comic book growing up.
Wow.
I didn't know a single person who read a comic book, and I only knew like 2 people who read manga. Okay. And so just my exposure to it just didn't have any. And so I made stories. I read some manga, and then I kind of stopped, wanted to do music, made a band, blah, blah. And at 19 years old, I always tell the story. At 19 years old, I'm on my laptop in my room trying to download some porn, and a pop-up comes up, and it's like, Joker has his face cut off. Will Batman be able to stop him? And I remember just being like, like that sounds way cooler than what I'm about to watch. Right. So I was like, okay, what is this? Because I slept with a Batman blanket my whole life. And so I was like, okay, I like Batman, but I just like Batman. I've seen like Batman Forever and like the Christopher Nolan Batmans, but like I didn't even know he was in a comic book. Honestly, I had no idea. So I click on this pop up, and it's like it takes me to the DC website, and they had just done the New 52 initiative, which was like they restarted everything at #1. So like I'm sure I know a lot of old fans were like, I hated the New 52. It was great for me because I see a #1 and I go, oh, I can start right here. So I went to a comic book shop, had a horrible experience, but I came out with the first like 12 issues of the New 52 Batman, read them, and I was like, this is the greatest thing that I've ever read. And then I was like, wait, I used to make this shit. And like I like went through like my old boxes, and I was like, oh, I found like this old comic I used to make. And then I just kept reading. I just kept buying more and more comics, and I was like, I want to do this. Like I want to start making comics. And so I for my religion, I went to South Africa for 2 years on a mission, those Mormon missionaries. Yeah.
I've got my cousin, my Fijian, native indigenous Fijian cousin is like he's half Indian, like my
Uh-huh.
uncle's son. He's a Mormon.
Yeah.
So I understand with the trips and
So
all that.
I went on my mission, and
Yeah.
what was crazy is on one of the areas I was in, because I'm in South Africa, but I was put into a white area for 6 months, and we would walk through the mall, and they had a comic book store, and like you're not supposed to go in there, but I totally did every week, and was like talking with the guy, and this guy was like, you know, he could tell I didn't know much about comics, so he was just like, we would go on our lunch breaks and he would just be like, yo, this is what's going on. He was teaching me about the characters. I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. Come back to America. And the first thing I buy is a Wacom Intuos, because I'm like, I can draw. And I was like, I'm gonna start making
right. Yeah, because you guys call it Wacom. I'm like, wait, what's
that? Wacom?
Wacom, right?
Yeah, dude, yeah, I had that, and I fucking hate it. But I fucking hate that drawing tablet. But I couldn't figure out the not looking at a screen. I could not figure it out. I was so angry. But yeah, I got one of those, and then I started making comics, and for the last 8 years I haven't stopped. And that's how, and now we're here.
Okay, so for me, like, I mean, with religion, like, I mean, I had to give that up like about 20 odd years ago, because I was like, I want to write stuff that doesn't, like, you know, is not really, you know, what is in theme with what my beliefs are, or what I personally believe. So I was like, I want to write this stuff, and I want to have this drawings, and I don't think I'm going to be able to have the freedom I want. And so I walked away with that from that. Now, what was, you know, because like with your missionaries, mission work and stuff like that, when you brought home comics and stuff, or when you're reading Shonen Jump and stuff, did you find anything that went against what your belief system
was? I mean, everything goes against my beliefs. So like that like, so I mean, I watch a TV show and they're killing people, I'm like, that's against my beliefs. You know, I watch Harry Potter, I'm like, that's against my beliefs, like, because it's magic. Like, so like everything's against my beliefs, and so it hasn't affected like me or like the stories I want to tell. Like my main series is like, a lot of my series have to do with, you know, maybe something like The Girl with the Megafist is very religious, and like if you don't like really pick up on it, you don't really see it, although I've been having some readers like starting to pick up on it. But it's like The Girl with the Megafist is almost like my own struggle that I have with religion, because I am religious, but I struggle with it at times. And so I use The Girl with the Megafist as like my outlet. And it's not like preachy or anything. It's just my way of exploring it. But like, also, I don't know. Like I also look at some of the stories that I make. I'm just like, you know, it's entertainment. I'm not here, you know, I'm not trying to convert people. And like, there's some stuff that I make where I'm like, I hope that my parents don't ever see this. I hope that like no one at church finds out I made it. Like I'll do like some like nude covers on my Kickstarters, and then because I know like that's hot. Like I know people want that.
Yeah.
Once I sell through the Kickstarter ones, like let's say like 100, let's say like 50 people back it, but I bought 70. Those extra 20 I burn. Because I'm like, all right, well, I don't want these, but I made them for these people. So yeah, it just depends. I also come up with my own, like, if my dad was like, what is this? I was like, have you never been to a museum and seen naked people? Like it's art. And as long as there's not like a dick like going inside the girls, like it's classy. Yeah. That's how I justify that shit. But I guess to answer your question, and because I took forever, is just religion has never stopped me from telling a story that I wanted to tell.
Right. I kind of feel like I just got reminded of when I brought home Garage Days, and there's a song on there, Metallica, right? And I'm playing it. It's like "Am I Evil?" right, which says like, you know, my mama was a, you know, BITCH, and so on. My dad goes, "What? Why are you listening to that?" I'm like, it's music, man. And like, you know, and it's like, and my dad's not even religious or anything like that, but it's just like, you know, the words and stuff. And and it's just, you know, people have their own judgments, and but I think one thing I was thinking of when you're saying about burning them, don't you think? I mean, wouldn't you think it'd be more financially better if you just offered it again in your next lot? You know, like
yeah, maybe, but also like I just don't care.
right.
Like that's a big thing. Like I just like, and like some of them I'll like, so like I'll keep like, you know, like a couple copies for myself for like the archives.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really depends like on what it is. Like I have one where like, you know, you can see the full on like bottom of the girl, and I'm like frontal, and I'm like, yeah, that's too much, burn it. And like I didn't even ask the artist to do it, but they drew it, and I'm like, nice, burn it.
Yeah.
Same thing with you know, Master Panda says I do an add-on spicy comic. Yeah, for like for some of my rated M ones, I'm like, if you want the sex scene, it's an extra $5, $5 or $8. And I burn those copies too, because I'm like I don't like, they were there, they're cool, they're for people, but then I don't want them. I don't want those copies. So yeah, it's this weird it's this weird jumping through hoops, because it's like I'm giving it to people and I personally don't want to consume it, but I made it for people. Yeah. But I personally don't want to consume it or have it, but I made it. So it's actually, to be more self-aware, it's extremely hypocritical. And I'm okay with it.
Yeah, but I mean, like I'm reminded of Alan Moore when he says, like, in the old days, it was like, you know, you read it, you threw it away. That's what comics used to be. But of course, I mean, like, suddenly people realized that there was money, you know, involved in it. But when I first got into comics, I didn't care about like the collecting side of it. I was just like, I paid for it. I'm going to hold on to it because I love it. And then over time, it was like, oh, you know, like 10 years later, people were saying, oh, you can sell it for this. It's now valued this. And I'm like,
oh, really?
Okay. But I don't even like to depart with my comics. Like, I mean, when I owned my shop, it was really hard to like actually put it out there. And I'm glad most of it didn't sell, but like, you know. But when did you like feel like this is what you wanted to do? Right.
Well, for like when I started making comics 8 years ago, I told myself, like, I'm gonna do this full time. I'm gonna figure out how to do this full time. And so like the first like several years was, okay, like how do I even make a comic? And then after that, the next phase was, okay, now how do I sell? How do I market? Right. And then up until recently, for like the last it's like 6 months ago, I did go full time making comics. I went full time. And then 4 months into that, I went, I hate this. I don't like it. I don't want to do this. And I just recently got a full-time job, and I'm like the happiest I've been. And I'm like, I'm still making comics, I'm still drawing, I'm still telling stories, but I'm not doing it full time. And it's kind of weird because for the last 8 years, my goal has been like every skill I've created, or every like jaw maneuver, it was always to get me closer to like creating comics for full time. And when I finally achieved it, I hated it, and I went back into doing a 9-to-5, and now I'm like having the best time in the world. So yeah.
What do you think that was?
Yeah, just and like a lot of people, whenever I tell them, they're like, oh, it's because he wasn't making enough money. But when I decided in October of last year that I didn't want to make comics full time, I had money in the bank until February to live off of. So like it wasn't a money thing. It was I felt like creatively bankrupt, where like the money only came in if I released a book and it did well. Right. So if that book doesn't do well, then I don't have money to provide for my family. Right. So now I'm not creating a story because I love it. I'm creating it so that it can get sales, which like isn't a bad thing, but creatively you feel so stifled. Because you're like, if this doesn't freaking pan out, I'm screwed. And so like, and it just like, it started sucking. Like I would come down. I drew a 36 page chapter of The Growth of Megafist, and was like, this isn't good enough because it's not going to get sales. Scrap it, redraw it. You're like, crap. Like, are people going to like this? And like, I rearranged the whole story because I'm so freaking out. Even though I've made this, I've had the story planned for 3 years, and before then, I've just been following my map, having a good time telling the story, and like for the first time, I'm starting to doubt everything that I've been doing. And so I like stopped drawing. I tried doing everything I could to not draw that day. I try to stay away from video games, but I started playing video games again. And my wife was like, man, like, you're not happy. Like, you're kind of like a miserable human being. And we just made the decision. I was like, this is too stressful. I feel creatively bankrupt. I don't like it. I don't like what I'm putting out. I'm not even excited to make comics anymore. I should go back and get a full-time job. Got the full-time job, and I have just been like glowing. Like, I'm just super excited to make comics again. So yeah. Another thing as well, though, is I was looking at the people who were doing comics full-time. And the like some of the people that like I was like looking up to, and the thing that I noticed with them is that they were all single. They were all single, did not have families, didn't have kids.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I was single, I'd be fine. I have money till February. I can just chill. Yeah. But I have this like kind of gun to my head because I have to provide for my wife and my kids. We're on kind of like we're on a stricter budget. And so it's like, oh wait, like I have to think about 3 other people beside myself. Yeah. And you know that, and so like that, so then that pressure is making me put even more pressure on the book doing well. And then I'm just not having fun anymore. And you know, for someone who keeps saying I want to have a silly goose time, I was not having a silly goose time. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? At that point, you know, 8 years ago, I said I'm going to do comics full time, but I was single. And now when I finally make comics, I have a wife and kids, and my priorities have shifted. It made me realize, wait, these comics I've been making for the last 8 years, they're actually not as important to me as my wife and kids. So I kind of just had this moment where I'm like, you know what? It's okay that I did it and I'm quitting full time. And it's okay now that this is just a hobby for me. Like I had that moment of peace where I'm like, it's okay that this is now a hobby and I can live with that. And that was kind of hard because it's like, man, I made it. I made my dreams come true. And now I have to quote unquote go backwards. But when I realized, okay, it's actually not going backwards, it's just my priorities have changed, then I've been good since.
Yeah, to me, it sounds like burnout because like you're you know, I mean, on the way to burnout, which is good because you didn't get to burnout, right? Because that would have been terrible. And because I've been through burnout, like really, like friggin' like doing 40-hour week, then doing another 30 hours of volunteer work, and to a point where like my body just shuts down, and I'm like, I'm hating everything. Like I'm hating everything. And all that 30 hours of volunteer work, I just went, no more volunteer work. You know, no more. And I was doing like writing stage, doing like rehearsals for freaking huge production. And I'm like, yeah, nah. I'm just gonna have, I'm gonna have weeks off until my body's set up again. Because I still gotta earn a living, right? I still gotta pay the bills. And I think, and you're right about the whole fact that, you know, a lot of us who are, you know, doing comics are single. Like I'm a divorcee, right? I've been for, I think 2010. So that's for about 14 years. I used to be married for 9 years. So the thing here is that your priorities do change with children, and when you got to look after, you know, and I think it's wrong to, you know, suddenly, you know, you should carry on doing comics because, you know, that's what you wanted to do. But you got kids, you know, you got a wife counting on you to pay bills, or if your wife isn't working, right? If your partner doesn't have a job. And I remember when you know, I got made redundant 7 months after getting married.
Oh, geez, that's stressful.
And like, and then suddenly, like, you know, like 3 years before I got divorced, or 2 years before I got divorced, I wasn't working because I was in a car accident. Now you're single wage, you know, and it's like the wife's working, but you're not. And I think a lot of people don't realize the effect finance. I mean, that's one of the biggest hurdles in any relationship.
It's like number one. The second one is sex.
Yeah. So and the other thing is, like, everybody right now is like struggling financially, especially creatives, right? And like it's like then you got to choose whether like, do I continue doing comics or do I go get work? But one of the other things that are positive about working and doing comics part-time is that you have a stable environment, you have a stable paycheck coming in. You don't have to worry about this, like you're saying, if this doesn't work, I got to change this. And I'm like, I can never feel like I got to change this about what I'm doing. Like I'll do the art change, but never the story.
Yeah.
And it must be hard, like to be able to go, okay, I got to change and everything for the market. It's like now you're a corporate shill kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, not just that, like the money, like the money that you make, it's all predicated on your book releases. And like if you're putting out another book. So like I can't afford to like put a book out every 6 months. I've got to be putting them out, which means I've got to be hiring artists, and which means hiring artists, like printers, shipping, Kickstarters. And it's just like, it's just this nonstop. And what's crazy is like, even though I have a full-time job now, I'm still doing like 9 Kickstarters this year. So like, it's not like I'm slowing down or anything, but like the money thing is different because like last year, I think I made like 80,000 on Kickstarter, but you don't really feel it.
Hold on. You made 80,000
in revenue.
How much of that is your,
yeah, like 40 or 50.
Right.
40 or 50. And then like you don't really feel like you see it because it's like when it was a hobby, that was all extra fun money. Right. So you're like, yay, like I get to put that in savings, or this is the fun money. And when it's your full-time income, you're like, where did it go? And you're just like, now it's like, I am working every single day to the next Kickstarter. I'm working every day to the next Kickstarter. And when you realize that, you go, oh shit, this is going to be never ending. Like I will never not be able to take a break or stop. And I'm never going to like have this kind of, I don't know, maybe freedom that I personally want. But also like, it's different because if I was single, it's totally cool. But like now I have to sacrifice hanging out with my wife, hanging out with my kids. Maybe I sacrifice stuff that my kids can do. Because, certain opportunities that they can do. And like, as a father, I'm like, well, I'm not willing to sacrifice that stuff for them. So yeah, it's just different. So like last year, I'm like, man, I could have had all this like quote unquote fun money like saved up, but now it's not because it was going towards paying my bills and whatnot. Which when I got laid off, like it was like I am eternally grateful that like my comics did do well because that kept us from all the bad stuff that happens when you lose your job and whatnot. But the mindset's just
for males and for fatherhood, it's the worst thing, and I think nobody can really understand it if you're in that situation unless you
like the feeling of I can't provide for my family, like that's like I'm like, man. Thank God, like it got close sometimes, but like we were good. But yeah, it's just when it comes to like the financial stuff, no one really prepares you for the transition of like hobby fun money to this is like your survival money. So like now I can go to my day job, get my quote unquote survival money, and then I can put out a comic and whatever sales it is, that's the fun money. And you just feel a little, and then you're like, you get excited to do the next one. You're like, yes, like let's see what I can do with the next one. So yeah, it's different.
So I mean, Massive Panda's asking, wait, so Tyler, you made 40K to 50K in profits, and last year, dude, that's really impressive. But what's your bills was that last year, right? What your kids, like when they got sick, you had to pay doctor's fees, and I know for you guys in America, your medical. You gotta have insurance.
Oh yeah, we didn't have insurance. So like if like God forbid my kid gets sick, you're like, fuck, like that, like that's not good. So yeah, like then becoming independent is like through the government and whatnot. It's just a whole bunch of other stuff that just like on it, like everything started getting unfun really quickly when I went full time. And like I said, like if I had been single, I would have been having a blast. It would have been banging.
Yeah.
But with the weight of the responsibility of being the sole provider for a family, it was just like, you know what, this isn't fun, and my priority is my kids and giving them a good future. So let's go back. Let's find a full-time job. And luckily I have a really good one. And then now I have all these comics. And what's kind of cool is last year I kind of proved with all these #1s that I have a couple successful series.
Right.
So let's now carry them over in this year. So that's super exciting.
And so you write and you draw, and then you get other people to draw as well. So how does that process work for you?
So with the Girl with the Mega Fist, that's the only series that I do everything, write and draw. Right. I do have an editor for all of my books. His name is Patrick. He's freaking awesome. But in terms of like writing and art, the Girl with the Mega Fist is the only one that I do 100% myself. Right. And then when it comes to my other series, I'm such a freaking micromanager. But I write the comic. I write the comic. If people saw my process, they throw up. But I kind of do it the Marvel method where I just draw. Like I have a sentence like, in this issue, this happens, and at the end this happens. Right. That's all I write. So and then I draw it out.
You're doing an outline and then you're drawing it.
Yeah, then I draw it and then I just let it happen, and then I know where I need to end. And then after that, I'll look at my sketches and then I'll start scripting the dialogue.
Right.
And then and so so I'll draw it, I'll thumbnail all the pages out, and then go back and do the panel descriptions, which are super shitty because like they're super short because the artist can just look at what I drew. Right. So they don't have to be like, and it's an angle with it's like, no, like just look at my thumbnail and just read like the one sentence I wrote on the panel to like get their expression. And then I send it over to them. They send me their line art, and then I'll do the gray tones. I'll do the gray tones, and then I'll letter it, and then that's it. And then the book's finished.
That makes it really easy on your artists because
they love it.
Like, you've got the angle, you've got you know with the shot of it, and then also you're going to be doing the.
It takes like the hardest part of drawing. I was thinking about it when I was like, man, I want to put out more books. I want to put them out faster. What is keeping my artists? What's taking them so effing long? And I was at the time drawing a book for someone, and I was like, it's all the reading of the script. I have to read the script, and then I have to hope, and then I have to basically get all the puzzle pieces. Yeah. And you'll draw the panel, and you go, oh shit, the script said that they need a window. They have to face a window. Redraw, and then you go, and then you do it. Oh wait, he's wearing a tie, and so.
It's too detailed though.
Like some of the panels, right? But some of the panels, like they're so specific because like they need to have elements. Like, and the pot is on the left-hand side, and you find out 3 pages later that pot is super important, and you forgot it. So I figured, I was like, if I can just make the thinking aspect, if I can eliminate the thinking aspect, the artist can just go, all right, and draw, and that's all they do. And they love it. And because of it, they're able to draw faster, and I'm able to give them more work.
That's the thing, right? You get like the faster you can draw and get it out, the more work you can get. And I think for me, like, I mean, as a writer, I'm like, okay, the first page, the main page will be like that much description, like about 2-3 paragraphs, so that everybody knows what the characters are. After that, I'll be like, looking at that person.
Yeah, exactly.
And because it's like you said, the artist wants to get on with the job and not have like tied down by minute descriptions. This is not a novel, right? It's a comic book. And like you said, close up, she looks at him.
Unless you're Alan Moore.
That's it. Yeah. You don't want Alan Moore because we're not, I mean, there's only one Alan Moore, right? Let's just leave it at that, like we do our own way. But the other thing, what you're doing there is like you're writing more as a script writer rather than a director's note thing. Right?
Yes.
The director has notes and all that. And I was like, okay, here's for the cinematographer, here's the angle you got to shoot, and this is why you got to have that. And it's like, no, you just need like a minute on a page to read. Anything more than a minute for the artist to read, it's like 30 minutes of their time. And now you're going to tell them to go work on it. It's like, okay, it's going to take longer.
Yeah, like most of the work was just trying to figure it out.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're able to detail, enough out there for them, it makes it easier. how has it been for you to like work with different artists? Like, I mean, you know, because I think a lot of times, especially someone like you who works, how many artists do you work with, by the way?
I'm currently working with 4.
Right. So it's kind of a similar vein as me. So now, how do you like, because every artist has their own way of doing things. How do you like work with them in a sense to like, because you know their own sort of like ways of doing things. How do you mesh that up to get them on board to see your view on how it's going, or you know?
They immediately agree to what I propose to them. Like, I've never had a problem with them going, oh, but I work like this, because once I tell them how I'm like, hey, this is how I work, they go, oh, that is way easy. Like, and at first, like, some of them will be like, oh, you're gonna send me the thumbnails, and I'm always like, trust me, you're gonna want it, you're gonna like it. And when they get the thumbnails, they go, oh. And then what also happens is like, there is never confusion on like what should have been in the panel, because I've worked like before I had this method, I would, you get pages back and you would go, they missed the vision completely, or they're missing out all these elements. Well, I put in all the things that I needed. I drew them out already, and there's no confusion. And there's no confusion on the angle, no confusion on their expression, what they look like, where they're placed. And once the artist, once the artist is like, oh shit, that's how we're doing it, this is way easy. They like, so I've never had a problem with any of the artists doing that.
The other thing here is you're working with professional artists, right? And they're all about time. And making because they're trying to get the page done quicker and quicker and quicker. Yeah. Because then they, like you said, go to another project, another issue. Yeah. And that's a if everybody did that, that'd be a really quick way of doing it. But not all of us are artists, right? And we don't have the skill set to do that. So, what was the first comic that you put out on Kickstarter, or put it out as a publication or printing?
Oh, I mean, my first comic I ever put out in like quote unquote publication, and you can't get it anymore, but it was called Almost Hero. It's somewhere. Like, it's bad. Actually, no. Hold on. The first comic I ever worked on. Let me grab it real quick, because it is. I show people this and they're like, "Oh, that is so bad." It's called. Here we go. These are dusty because I haven't shown people in like forever. Okay, so when I got into comics, I was like, I can't find the Almost Hero one, but like this, you'll see the art and it was no better than this. So I teamed up with a writer named Bobby, and bless Bobby's heart, this is the shittiest story ever. Complemented by the shittiest art. So this was the art that I did for this book.
Give me 1 second and I'll pop you up on full screen so everybody can see clearly. Yeah. Because look, everybody does that. The first work is going to be,
Yeah.
And but
it's so shitty.
The fear stops a lot of people because they're worried about what they're going to put out. But once you put out that work, everything else you change how you do things, right?
So then, so I did that, and then after that, I was like, okay, I think I can write my own story, and I'm gonna do it in color. Once again, like it's so bad.
Yeah.
I think the only page that I was like actually proud of for this story was like this one.
The paper seems pretty hard. What sort of paper is that?
It's typical. What the problem is, the covers. I got too hard of a cardstock on the cover, so it's hard to bend. But also, I haven't pulled this thing out in forever. So yeah. So like everything about this is it's so bad. Yeah. So those were the first ones I did, and then after that, I was like, I'm gonna after that, I'm gonna start working with more. I want to tell stories, but like my art fucking sucks. So like I'm not confident in telling my stories and using my art. So I found an artist named Travis Martinez, and I had the story called Demons, and we did 3 volumes of that together. And during that time I learned how to write a script, but then I also learned how to color, because I would color over his work to save me some money, and then learned how to like letter, and even then it was really bad. But so we did that, found a publisher for it. They're not around anymore. And then in order to pay though for his pages, I would work on other people's books, like people like creators who would be willing to take on my shitty art. And I would charge like maybe $200 to $300 for a full colored comic, 20 pages. My pitch was like a pencil, ink, color, and letter your 20-page comic for $300 flat. Right. And I did so many of these books. Like, I don't know where they are in the ether, but I did so many of these books, and all that money would go to Travis so that he would draw my book. Then the publisher went down, and I was like, crap, like, I don't have an audience, because like they were selling my book. I don't have an audience. I don't know who was buying my book.
Right.
Because I was selling like 200 or 300 copies a release. And I was like, and then he wouldn't give us the emails of those customers. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm back at zero, but I'm back at zero with 15 issues of a comic. Right. So then someone was like, well, you should take it to Kickstarter. I was like, I have no idea what that is. Learned about it, compiled volume 1 and put it up on Kickstarter. And I made like $1,700. And I was like, pretty cool. I was like, fuck yeah. Yeah. And then I did an Indiegogo. Then I went to Indiegogo. Great decision. For volume 2, did like $3,000. Did volume 3, did only $1,900. And then I also was sitting on a graphic novel that I had done called Entity, and I hired another artist for that one named Joe Wong. Same shit. I colored it and lettered it. And then I was like, you know what? I think and while I was doing this, I was still practicing my art, like my sequential art. And I finally got to a point where I'm like, I think I can put out my own shit. So I created a series called, wait, what?
Yeah. So
that's crazy.
Speaking of demons, there's a comics documentary on Tubi that was filmed at the convention, and one of the interviewees is standing in front of a booth that has demons floppies on it. That's
crazy. It was probably when when the because the publisher would go to all the cons. That was how they sold tons of it. That's crazy. I don't have any of the floppies anymore, so like if anyone has them, those are rare. But so I was still practicing my art. So I was like, let me create a comic that I want to draw and I'll write. And I came up with a story called Chefs, and it was like superheroes, but they had food powers and everything was food related. And Chefs standed for Culinary Heroes Earth Force. Right. So it was like super fun, lighthearted, and like I got like the best online reception for it. And I put it out. I made like $4,000 the first like 3 days on Kickstarter. And then I was like, I fucking hate this series so much. Yeah. And I canceled it. Okay. I canceled it, had a huge mental breakdown. I was like, I don't like what I'm putting out. Right. I started like having this freak out of like, what do I do in comics that's going to make me happy? Yeah. And then I came out with The Girl with the Mega Fist, and here we are with other series. Yeah.
So tell us about Girl with the Mega Fist, right? Because I was listening to a podcast the other day. It was like it somehow got released with or promoted through previews with a Girl with the Iron Fist or something.
Yeah. So yeah, that was in Manga Z. I have the issue right there on my bookcase. But yeah, so Girl with the Mega Fist. So after Chefs, I had this mental breakdown. I was like, I don't like Chefs. Everyone likes Chefs. But I just canceled it, and everyone in the indie community was like, "Why would you?" Because it's like I didn't have a failed Kickstarter. I had a successful one, and then I canceled it, and everyone's like, "Why would he do that?" And so I was like, I just don't like the story anymore. And so I spent like 2 months I kind of just stepped away from everything. Yeah. And I was doodling one day at work, and I drew this like blonde chick. And she just had this like massive, just big fist. Yeah. This like gauntlet. And one of my coworkers was like, "That's cool. What is that?" I go, "I don't know. It's just some girl with the mega fist." And I was like, "Oh." And he was like, "That's cool." And I'm like, "Yeah, that kind of rings." So I wrote it down, like, "Girl with the Mega Fist."
Yeah.
And I just started working my way backwards. I'm like, okay, why does she have the mega fist? Okay.
Yeah.
Who gave her the mega fist? What's so important about the mega fist? Why is this
Yeah.
happening? And then you just start building, and eventually, you start asking all these questions. And once you answer them all, now you have a world, now you have lore, now you have a story. And then after that, I was like, this is fantastic. I hired an artist to do some concept work. They gave me the concept, and I was like, I have it. This is what I want. And then I came back to Twitter and like the comic space. I'm like, hey, I'm back, and this is what I'm gonna make. Had good reception. I worked on it for a year before I released it, put it out, and then I've been making it since.
So Miss Pender says, I'm actually more on Brian Ball's side. If Chefs was making you miserable, it's probably better that you walk away from it. And it's the same thing, right? Like, because why be miserable, right? If something's miserable.
Well, my biggest fear of that was the fact that Volume 1 ends on a cliffhanger,
right?
And I was like, how shitty of it is it for me to start a series and then just like, and then someone's like, where's Volume 2? I'm like, I'm out. Like, I don't want to do it anymore. I was like, I'd rather just you never get it, instead of get those expectations of like, oh, like I want more, and it's like, well, you're never getting it because I don't want to do it.
But the other thing there is, and then like it's also like, how do you like how do you try to think to your backers who've actually invested in you financially and not give them finish the story? Yeah,
exactly. Like I was like, great, I have to take your money, and then I'm gonna give you the book, but then like I'm walking away from it. I'm essentially walking away from. I just didn't think I could recover from something like. I just felt it was just very distrusting. I actually like last year I tried remaking. I tried rebooting the story. I have on my computer a 60-page graphic novel of Chefs, and we finished it. I finished it with another artist, and I looked at it once we were done, and I finished it, and I went, I fucking hate this story. I hate the series. I still hate this series so much. And I don't want to make a volume 2, even though I just rebooted it, fixed all the problems I had. The artist did a fantastic job. I still don't want to do this book. And it's just sitting on my hard drive. People like you have a 60-page graphic novel that's just sitting on your hard drive. I'm like, yeah. And I don't want to do anything with it.
Just to be, just for the fans, right? I mean, for the backers, have you thought about just releasing it free to those backers?
I did do something shitty where I actually I did eventually finish it.
Right.
Well, I finished the first version of it, the one I canceled on Kickstarter, and I did put it out, and I printed limited copies. And I'm like, hey, this is the one I canceled. If you still want it, you can buy it. And then I had a bunch of Patreon followers that said, hey, everyone on Patreon will get a copy of this, and then whatever copies I have left, I'll sell, but then I'm never selling this ever again. So
this is issue 2, right?
No, this is issue. I do them in graphic novels. So this is technically volume 1 of the first version. And then I have volume 1 of the second version on my computer. That's just chilling. Like no one's ever read it. No one's seen it. People have seen some copies of it, honestly, but like every time I talk about this series, people are like, I want it, I want more. And so it's one of those things where I'm like, I clearly have something. So in the future, what I'm planning on doing, not this year, but maybe next year, is I'll find a writer and an artist. I'll find a writer who I trust, and I can say, oh yeah, they're passionate about this story, and I'll just hire them to tell the story. And then I'll hire an artist, and I'll just basically use myself as a publisher, and I'll just have to be like, yeah, because I have a roadmap for all the stories. I just hate them. Even though like I've told the backers and people the roadmap, and they're like, that's sick, we want more. And I'm like, it's so weird to create something that people love and you hate so much. But so that's why I created the girl with the mega fist, because it is something that like I love like so much and that I can stick with. And I can, and as well with these other series that I'm making. But for some reason, like this chef series, people love it and I fucking hate it.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like being in a marriage where like you're totally miserable, but everybody sees your public side, you know, and you're like totally miserable at home. You know, she's driving you nuts, and you're trying to find you know, she's like totally sticking it. This what I'm just describing my thing. It's like she's sticking with you, you know, just destroying you.
Well, and also you're trying to figure it, but also you have that feeling of like I was in love with you at some point. What happened?
Yeah, that's
you know,
it's
like
what happened to us.
Yeah, like I have like all the doodles and like I was like every time I put out a new character and was like, hey, this is a new character for the series, people were just loving it and I was just feeding off of it. And and now I'm just like, I don't know what happened, but I fucking hate this series and I never want to I don't want to touch it with like a 10-foot pole. But you know what? If someone else does and other people want to read it, like go for it.
Yeah, I mean that's the other thing I was thinking in the back of my head. Is like, well, you could just hand it over to somebody else to, you know, write it, and because they already got the work, right? And they could just script it some other way. But still, it is your thing. And the other thing I was thinking, like you know, when you look at Dave, is it Dave Chappelle, right? When he walked away from that big deal, and it was worth more than 50 million, right? They've said it's like way.
Yeah,
and you know, it was the best love show on TV, but he was, you know, he had to walk.
He wasn't in it. Well, and he had like his priorities. He's like, I wasn't seeing my kids, and your priorities and goals shift. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Now, just going back up this thing here, there's Master Panda says, you seem to be way more into the girl with the mega fist. I used to think Demons was your magnum opus, but it seems really mega fist.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's like my Demons. So like I later collected all 3 volumes into this like 370 page omnibus. So like most indie creatives will never get to something like this, a 370 page omnibus. So a lot of people go like, wow, like you got to that. That must be like the last story you're ever going to make because, you know, that should, but I'm like, well, I'm on volume 4 of The Girl with the Mega Fist, which takes up to like 800 pages so far. And I've got like 16 volumes planned. So yeah, that's the one where I'm like, I'm gonna keep going. And I also like, it's funny because once I'm finished with The Girl with the Mega Fist, I already have like my next like long form story that I'm planning. And like even My Sexy Witch Academia, which is another series I launched this year, that's probably gonna be like 12 chapters. And if like, I'm just gonna do some math real quick, but like each one's
chapters, how many pages per chapter?
40.
Right,
40.
So it's like 2 issue series, normal floppies, right?
Yeah, so like even then, that's 480 pages when I finish that one, and like most creatives will never get to that.
24 issues, right?
Yeah, it would be. So like even then, most creatives will never get to that. So like I very much like these like telling long form stories, and I'm very blessed to have gone to a point where I know how to make them, get them out quick, but then also sell them so I can keep making more.
Now, what, like, I mean, we're talking about like Girl with the Mega Fist. What's the concept? What's the world in? Because I've only seen like, you know, screenshots of the cover, and so I don't know nothing about it. For those you know who don't know, tell us what that's about, man.
Well, let me just so The Girl with the Mega Fist is a story about Eliana. She's the main character. She's the girl with the mega fist. And our first arc focuses on the question on the conflict of the fact that she has been chosen. There's 2 sets of gods, the mega gods and the almighty gods, and they each choose one chosen hero to go down on Earth, and they protect Earth for a period of 10 years. And so she has been chosen by the mega gods to wield the mega fists. But the almighty gods chose 2 twin brothers, and she can only choose one of them to go down to Earth. So the conflict is, does she choose the one that she loves, or does she choose the one that's the strongest? who's going to be the best partner for her to go down to and protect Earth. So like that's the conflict that we've been going around for the last 4 volumes. Is like the question is like, who's she going to choose? What's going on with that? But then also she's fighting with the fact of like, man, like I don't even want to do this. Like I don't even want to be the chosen one, and let alone choose between my 2 best friends who I'm gonna pick. So that's the conflict that we're dealing with in the first arc. We're wrapping it up right now with volume 4, which I'm currently drawing, and it's our training arc. So once the 4th volume is finished, volume 5, she's now on Earth, and she starts her 10-year kind of quote unquote service on Earth, which is, you know, kind of tying it back to that religion. It's hers. She's now serving the gods for 10 years, and you know, I served a mission for God for 2 years, and I didn't want to go at 19. I didn't want to go. I fought with my parents for like years. I didn't want to go, and finally at 20, I made the decision. Like I made the decision for myself to go, but like that's how it kind of ties. Like there's so many aspects of my personal religious life that tie into the story of the girl with the mega fist, where it's like, yeah, so like now, so like in volume 5, now we're going to explore the fact that now she is in that service years. How does she deal with having to now be this, you know, hero for humans? She has no idea who these humans are. Why should she care about them? She's from a different quote unquote world. And like, why do I have to deal with all this various conflicts? And then we have another, like we have like an underlying story that I've been hinting at throughout the volume. So yeah, that's what the girl with the mega fist is. It's a very epic story. It's long. It's like 16 volumes planned, and we're having a great time with it. And the readers are loving it, which makes me happy.
Yeah, because I mean, if there weren't, you know, would you still do it? That's you know, as a creator, because you like the story, so are you gonna, you know, the moment they go, no, we don't want to back this anymore, will you still do it though? Because
that's a great question. I have an exit like planned for every arc. So like, and every arc is 4 volumes. So like, but I can always shave off. So I know that, okay, if this happens, I can cut off 1 or 2 volumes, and this is how I'll end it. Or what I do honestly is I would finish if like, let's say the second arc ends at volume 8, but volume 6 is just shit. I would rewrite volumes 7 and 8 so I could finish off the story.
Right.
And I would do that just so that I have a final, I say like, okay, well, I have a complete story. Even if 7 and 8 had complete, like horrible diminishing returns, I would still rewrite it and still do those 2 volumes just so I could say like, I have a complete story. But luckily, because like I'm now doing this as a hobby, you know, with that mind shift, it don't matter. Like if like this last one did 17,000, but if the next one only does 15, who cares? Because this is all for fun now. But if I was doing it full time, it'd be like, oh shit, do I need to cancel this series? Like now, because I have that mindset of, if this is a hobby, man, like it does only $6,000. Great. I get a pocket $3,000, and I still get to tell my story. So it's that mind shift.
Yeah, because now you're free from, like, you know, having the financial obligations and obstacles, and now you're just a creator having, you know, doing your art for yourself, right? For yourself rather than for somebody else, and trying to make a profit off it. Now, Mr. Pender says, it's good that you have managed to produce long, epic stories in short periods of time. Yeah, man. I mean, like, dude, that's massive work. It's almost psychotic for a creator to endure such a long process where their minds are distracted with new ideas.
Yeah, I mean, I know a ton of creators who, like, the reason why they only do 3 to 4 issue series is because that 3 to 4 issue series will take them 2 years. And that's it. If they're like, frick, at this rate, it's gonna take me I'll die before I finish the epic story I want. And luckily I've created, like, I've left like the super epic story to like me, because I am blessed to be a writer and an artist. But like with my artists, I'm like, with my artists, I'm always just grateful that we finish the arc, because you're like, oh, you didn't quit on me yet. like that's great. And so like that's that. I'm super grateful for that. I'm super grateful for that. But it's yeah, I'm someone who I'm like, if I'm gonna tell this long story, I want you to find a collaborator who is gonna work with me for this long. We better have a good relationship. Like I know like these guys' family members. I know what they're doing. Like we're very much in contact. And then it's just creating a system. I mean, it took me 3 years to do 15 issues of this series. And like in the mainstream, like that's horrible output. But for the indie world, like 3 years to do 15, that's fantastic. And most indie creatives, like I said, will never ever get to a 370 page omnibus.
So talking about that, so that took you 3 years, but what were you doing otherwise? Like, are we having other books people working on?
Yeah, I was drawing other people's books.
Right.
Who knows where those creators are, or I don't even know what some of those books are. I don't remember. I did a couple series for some people. I did like 2 or 3 issues here and there for people. I did a lot of issue 1s for people, and then they're like, I can't do an issue 2 or 3. I'm like, that's fine, I just need money. But yeah, that's what I was doing while we were making those ones. And I was also at the time, I was taking journalism at school for writing, and I doodled a picture of Trump one day. I did a cartoon of Trump one day during his campaign cycle for the 2016 election. And my teacher was like, that's really good. I went, thanks. He goes, you like making comics? I was like, yeah, I do. And he's like, come with me. And he limped over like across like 4 different buildings with me. And he goes to the head of the newspaper, and it's just like, I found your guy. Right. And apparently like they had just lost their artist, and they're like, hey, we'll give you a full, if you give us 3 illustrations a week, we'll give you a full scholarship to school.
Wow.
And I'm like, yeah, I will draw 3 cartoons for you a week if you pay for my school. Absolutely. So, and a lot of the cartoons I was drawing was of Donald Trump. So I always joke, I'm like, yeah, guys, Donald Trump paid for my school. Like, I love that guy. That's my man. He paid for my school. But yeah, so that's what I was doing as well. So besides
the thing here is, you got to realize that not does he only look after America, but he's looked after you, because you got a freaking scholarship.
Yeah, dude, like make America great again, make my bank account great again, because I don't got school debt. Thank you. I gotta shake his hand and be like, hey, I made fun of you every single week for 4 years. Thank you. But that's what I was doing as well. And that, and because while I was an illustrator there, I got to meet a bunch of other illustrators who showed me how to do other stuff, who were a lot better than me. And then, and I could learn their techniques, and I could learn all these different like words, and understand the art form a little better. Cause I remember they'd be like, hey, like, it's cool that you can do a 1-page story. Can you do it in 2 panels though? Because that's the size we have for the newspaper. So I'm not printing a 1-page story for you. You got to be able to, you have to get to the punchline within 2 panels, maybe even 1. Like maybe you have to tell this whole thing in 1 panel. And so like that really stretched me. Like you have to tell a whole story and a message in 1 panel. But yeah, I learned a lot from that experience for sure.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like being trained, like staged, went to film school, and now like I mean, if you can tell a story in a 3-panel, or a 1-panel, that's you know how to write, right? Mm-hmm. Because you've done it all. Like, and you're telling a magnus opus that's like 24. Issues basically in a volume, chapters wise, right? And then you got having learned your skills that way. So what was it like being mentored by these guys, right, while you're doing the scholarship?
Yeah, I mean, they were dicks. They were dicks. But no, it was I mean, it was invaluable because you never a lot of the time, like, because I mean, they just gave so, like that those first 2 years, I was so heavily criticized by all of them, and then the second year, the second and third year, sorry, the third and fourth year, I became the head illustrator there. And then I would bring on people, but I would bring on people that were better than me because I didn't have time, because I didn't want to like tell anyone how to do anything. So like, oh yeah, you're better than me. You do it. You have the scholarship, but you only get half. I get full. But no, the first 2 years was like, it was, I almost quit a couple times. I was like, gosh, like these guys are being like freaking dicks. They're like, look at the, they're like, yeah, look at this. You colored out the lines right there. And I'm like, and like that's unprofessional. So I'm like, I'm not a toddler. Like I color in the lines, or but and like these guys were art majors and I wasn't. So they'd be using all these like terminology and like words that I was like, they're like, and what are your hues? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what that word means. They go like, what's the values? I'm like, I don't know what those words mean. They're like, hey, we need. They'd be like the guy would message me, hey, I need a spot illustration. I'm like, know what a spot illustration is. And so it was really tough, like having to learn all this new terminology and whatnot. And they were so critical, but at the same time, I was almost forced to be there because I'm like, I'm not gonna lose my full ride scholarship. When my only job is to draw 3 pictures a week, there's like, I'm not losing my full ride scholarship because I can't draw, because I don't have thick skin enough to draw 3 pictures.
And but that's made you a stronger for it, right? Now you've because of them, like if you look at like, hey, I rather than like I mean, sorry, because you made some hard decision while we've been talking, like you walked away from a fan, fan loving, well sort of book. You last year you said, I'm gonna go get a part-time job, because as you're getting mentored here, you're thickening your skin, right? Which is what you just said. You're becoming stronger and having to deal with making choices and stuff. And a lot of people now, like, they don't have that. They don't have a thick skin. The moment that somebody says, something critical, they bend over and they start crying. I'm not doing this job anymore. I mean, like, I remember when I was 17 years old, I walked into a factory for the first day. It was so hot. It was sweating. It was a biscuit factory. So there's 2 giant ovens, right? They're open, and the 160 degrees, 180 degrees comes out at you, and it's sunny outside, and it comes out like I was walking home with one of the girls that first day. I said, I'm never coming back here again. I was there for 3 years, right? Because I made friends, friends. Like seriously, I was like dehydrating, sweating. I basically probably had a headache and just exhaustion, but 3 years later, I was around people from other cultures. I learned how to deal with that, made friends, hung out with them in the weekends and stuff. And I think a lot of people now just come out of college and they're right, and they're like into a job and no experiences, and so find it hard.
Oh yeah, well they're so like I always have this motto, and I always say it to my my kids, and like they don't fucking understand it because they're 4 and 1, but like I'm trying to like say it, but I'm always like saying like, hey, like we can do hard things, and like that's important to like me, and like we can do hard things. Like I was like, when I was in Africa on my mission at the time, the church rules at the time were that it was, you had no phone calls, no social media. You could only email your parents once a week. So you had an hour of being on the computer to email your family. And then you had 2 phone calls a year. You could talk to your mom for an hour on Mother's Day, and you could talk to your parents, your family, for an hour on Christmas. Yeah. Nowadays the kids have cell phones. They can call their parents whenever they want. And like, oh, you guys are so like weak sauce. But like I was thrown into a 3rd world country without my parents, without anyone at like 19, 20. Yeah. I'm driving on the wrong side of the road. I have foreign money, and I have a culture I do not understand. And then you find out there's like 17 different races who are all trying to like live with each other, and they like, some of them you just don't know, like, oh, on this side it's the Zulus, but on this side it's this, and if you say this word wrong in this one, it's right, but if you get the click on this one wrong, it means something else, and you could start a race war. And so like I remember one time, there's just like, that has nothing to do with comics, but like, I remember driving with like, there's 3 other missionaries in the car. It was at night. We're trying to get home, and there's all this like traffic of like 10 cars, and there is a fire in front on the road. It's on fire. And we look out the window. I go, everyone, like, lock your doors, like, get ready for whatever is going to happen. And I look outside, and I start like maneuvering through the cars, and I'm like, why aren't there people in these cars? So I'm like, yo, shine a flashlight over on the side of the street. Dude, the villagers are taking people out of the cars and beating the shit out of them on the side of the road. And I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, guys, like, buckle up. Like, I'm like maneuvering through, and all of a sudden I hear one of the people scream, Malungus, which means white people. Dude, my heart, like, I pissed myself because everyone stopped beating up the black on black stopped, and everyone started converging on our car. And one of the guys is like, I'm the driver, and they're like, get us out of here. And all of a sudden, like, bricks start going through the car. Every window's broken, and I hit the pedal. I hit like 2 people. I don't know if like I killed them or not. And like that shit was so freaking scary. And the next day I had to go drive on that road back to go into that village to go, like, do my missionary work. Like, I there was no room to be like, oh, like, I can't do this anymore, because like I said I'd do this for 2 years. So that was just a rough night of like, oh man, guys, that fucking sucked. Like, what? And nowadays you have kids, like, we have people in the workforce, or even creatives, who, like, just the slightest ounce of inconvenience, they're out. One person on Twitter literally went, I'm not drawing anymore because there's AI art now. And I went, if AI art is what's stopping you from drawing, you were never gonna make it. Ever. Dude, I remember go back to my mission real quick. I remember, like, I had a new kid. They're like, hey Tyler, Elder Carpenter, but they go, hey Tyler, we have this new kid. Can you be with him for the day, because he's kind of a crybaby, and we think that you'll be able to, like, like, calm him down. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm the right person to do that, but, like, okay. And I remember we're walking, and he's just like, I don't know if I want to go home. I want to go back to America. And I'm like, all right, you can. I mean, like, I'm like, dude, you're like, come on, like, this isn't that bad. I'm like, why do you want to go? I miss my girlfriend. I'm like, let me tell you something, dude. She's with someone else right now. She's with someone else right now. And he's like, no, I miss her. And he pulls out a photo of her in his pocket. And I'm like, give that to me. And I'm like, and he's like, oh, I remember he, like, dig a hole. And he goes, what? I'm like, dig a hole. So he's, like, on the floor, and he's digging a hole, and I put it in there, and I go, bury it. And I go, in our religion, we do this thing called consecrating the grave, where when someone dies, you say a prayer, and God takes the spirit. I go, all right, we're going to consecrate the grave right now, because she's dead to you. Yeah. She's dead to you. And he and then, like, I got scolded because they're like, oh, the Carpenter, we heard that you made the kid. we heard that you made the kid dig a hole and consecrate a grave for a picture. And I'm like, listen, this guy's a whiner baby, and he's wasting my time because I spent the whole day babying him. So let him go home. And he went home, and who knows, he actually wrote a book about, like, mental illness. I'm like, and, like, when I worked at the publisher, I got the manuscript, and I'm reading it. I'm like, 1, none of the stories that you said happened in your book. And then 2, you don't have a mental illness. You're just a crybaby. Yeah. But that's kind of like what's happening. Like, that's why, like, when I see creatives on Twitter, like, whining, and they're like, Tyler, you're so mean. I'm like, if this is just a hobby, like, that's fine. Have fun. But if you want results, this shit's hard. Like, if you want to make a comic and for funsies, do it. Have a blast. The moment you say, I want someone to read it, or I want sales, that's when shit gets hard, and you have to start working. And 90% of the creatives who are whining don't want to do the work. Yeah. And I don't have sympathy for that. And then they're like, oh, Tyler's the bad guy. And I'm like, I'm not the bad guy. I'm just not a crybaby like you. I'm not a whiner baby.
like, where's your commitment to your art, right? You're not committed. You're not serious about it. So get, might as well, go. Leave, empty the space out so we who are committed to our art are out here doing it. Because otherwise, you're just wasting the space, taking up somebody else's space for it. I have an 8-page comic story, right? It was really deep. I actually let my auntie read it. I hardly ever let anybody, read it because it was about an Indian girl in Fiji, and had to do about that sort of thing. And so I got this guy to do it. So he did the first volume, 30 pages done, and then like I always send out reference images, like. And so when I went to Fiji on a trip, like last time, it's about 10 years ago, I took hundreds of photos of every scene that I could think of. And so I did one with a house, right? So my cousin's at the back there, doing dishes. And so I'm in there, I just take a photo of the doorway. And my toes are on that friggin', just my toes are showing in this photo. And it's like just that a little bit out of this, it's like just here. I don't even notice it. Nobody would notice. This guy quit on me because of that.
Jeez.
After having done 30 pages of pencil work. And I'm like, this is how fickle these, and it's like, I would have had that completed now. It would be out there, in Kickstarter and all that. And now I'm just going to wait for somebody who can now go over that because I can't release it, and,
that's so frustrating.
Yeah, and I'm like, I've dealt with people similar in that sense. Like, so for me personally, I don't deal with the business side of things. I let, the contracts and all that, I don't deal with it. I'm the creative person, the promotional person, and the art person who works with the artist. So the business is out of my hand and contracts. So I have people coming, this. I'm like, I don't deal with that shit. I'm just about creating. I want to get my creation out into the world. But to see somebody put over a picture of a toe, and I'm like, what?
No, that's super weak sauce. Well, and I remember like during like when we were making demons and I was, whoring myself out, like I'll draw your book. It got to a point where like with every single book I was improving for these other people, but it got to a point where I couldn't get any more work.
Right.
And I was like, this is kind of crazy. Like, I'm not getting any work. And I had to have like I had to look at my work and go like, is this good enough? And and it was like, wow. I was like, wow, clearly like my work right now is like not good enough to get work anymore. Or, I was charging X amount. Clearly it's not good enough to get even this amount. And I remember just like being like, fuck, like this sucks. Like I'm not getting any work. No one likes my art. And I almost quit. I almost quit then because I was just like, ugh, like I don't need comics to make art anymore. Blah, blah. I know that I am good. And then and then I was listening to a podcast and they're like, if you want to know if you're good, do the 3x3 grid. And what that is you keep the middle one empty. You keep the middle one empty, but you surround that middle one with all the artists that you like in their work.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. They specifically said in this podcast, they go, step 1, do this, but do not listen to step 2 until you do step 1. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Right. So I do step 1 and I go, okay, sweet. I press play and they go, sweet. Now step 2, put your art in the middle.
Right.
And they go, and if your art isn't what those other people are that you like, you have a lot of work to do. And I looked at what I was drawing and I went, fuck, like, who am I to think? I think that I'm the shit, that I'm owed this, like I'm owed commissions, I'm owed work, I'm owed people buying my stuff when this is what the bar is at, and I'm not even fucking close to the bar. And so I was like, okay, I've got 2 routes at this point: either quit and complain and quit, or get back to the learning stage. And that's, you have to swallow your pride at that point. And I was like, all right, back to the learning stage, back to learning how to draw anatomy and get better. And even now, if someone goes, Tyler, like your art sucks, I'm like, you can't offend me with that, because this is what my art was like 5 years ago. And I show them that first graphic novel I showed you. And I'm like, you can't offend me, because that was what my art was like 5 years ago. And this is what my artwork looks like now. Imagine where I'm going to be in 5 more years. So, and that takes thick skin to have someone insult your art. But if you've put in the time and effort, it's like, well, yeah, you can't this was the last book that went into Diamond for me. So like, where'd that shitty graphic novel go? I chucked it because it was so bad, dude. Wow, where did it go? I had the graphic novel. Okay, anyways,
should be in front of you. Yeah,
I'm like looking for it. Okay, here we go. So like, if this is the first like cover I ever did,
yeah,
and like that, I'm like, it's so bad. But this was the last one that went into Diamond. Like,
right.
So it's like,
right.
Like if, and you know, going back to this one as well, like, if this is where I was 5 years ago.
Oil and water, dude.
Yeah, I'm like, you can't offend me. Like your art's shitty. I'm like, well, this is what it was 5 years ago. If this is where I am now, I'm gonna be the shit. I'm gonna be the shit in 5 years.
Seriously, yeah, seriously. I mean, like when you look at that, I mean, like, it's like that's your beginning work and as an amateur kind of stage, and then now like here you are as a professional. Now, if your work was crap at this point, right? If it stayed the same, and a lot of people don't want to learn, however, you went and friggin' learned. You went and asked yourself the question, or like you said, the podcast helped you realize that where you were, and that's the. I mean, to have some, to learn from that. I always encourage people to learn from other people, right?
Yeah.
You watch this, you watch that, so you think. I mean, like I'm always watching people's interviews. Like I was watching friggin' Edge's interview this morning for an hour before doing this, and I'm like, because I'm interested in that person because now he's in AEW. I watched him, I don't realize he got hurt. That's why he was out from there. Mm-hmm. But I watched him on Haven, the TV series, right, for about freaking 5 years. I loved him in that as a sheriff, and was it like cop, whatever, and it was awesome. I enjoyed him as an actor, and I wish he was getting more work as an actor. But then he's also awesome back in wrestling as well, and watching that, and then like learning like his life stories. This is why I like doing Plunge Pop, because I get to learn, and then people get to learn as well, and how you came and where you are now, and like it's like oil and water, like between the two. And like somebody was here saying like, let me just pop this up. This one here, right? So this earlier on, it's like Pando's going like, Tyler actually has very reasonable takes and gets attacked every time. And I think that would probably be because people are that whiny babies, right? They're not listening to what you're actually saying.
Yeah.
They're waiting to be like, they're waiting to just moan about shit, like complain without even thinking. And a lot of times people don't give themselves time to breathe because we're so used to social media of instant commenting, right?
I don't coddle. And I think that's like one thing that's like different for me as a creative than like a lot of creatives is like, I put stage one of my comic creation publicly. I've been publicly in front of people growing and learning. And so like some people might have seen me 2 years ago and that's who the person they think I am. And then they're not seeing me grow as an individual. Like this year, someone's like, someone goes, oh, Tyler, I put this year. I was like, I don't want to be in any drama this year. And someone was like, oh, but you've been in it for the last 2 years. I'm like, yeah, you're right. And I've grown into this new person that doesn't want to take part in any of that. Another thing that's like that makes me like understand the creative's mindset a little better is I worked at a book publisher for 5 years.
Yeah,
that was the job I had before I got laid off, and I only worked at that job that I like got laid off for like 3 weeks, and they laid me off. It was shit. Yeah. But I worked at a book publisher for 5 years, and like that was the very first couple months was really hard because as a creative, you're very emotional about like, this is my work. I made this. I put my heart and soul into it. I had to take that off when I went to work because I have to make sales. And you could tell me how impactful your book is, what it means to you, buddy. It didn't sell and I'm done with it. And it almost made me into like a monster, because I mean, every month people are like, hey, how come you're not marketing my book? I'm like, it didn't sell the last month, so I'm done with it. I moved on to another book that is selling. And I started learning all this data, and I started learning how to market books. So when I'm giving marketing advice online, people are like, who's this guy thinks he is? I'm like, I don't know. I was doing $3 million by myself in revenue every single year for this book publisher. I think I know how to sell books, or what it takes to sell. I mean, I would go to I would speak at like author conferences and for marketing. And I mean, like everyone, if everyone's bitching on Twitter, when I would speak at these conferences, I would get to see the faces of the people bitching, because I'd be like, you have to do this. Everyone's like, oh.
Yeah.
And like I get to see like their actual reaction. And it just made me realize that like there are some creatives who are gonna, like, the difference between the creatives who make it and the creatives who don't, and there's not a lot of creatives who do make it, is that thick skin and being able to like take the punches, get up and not quit. But there's too many creatives who they get punched, and you know, they'll get up again, get punched, and then they'll quit. And I've been punched. I get punched every freaking day online, it seems, these days. But I keep getting up.
When people are honest, right? When people are honest, people don't want honesty. Like they like you said, they want coddling. They want, you know, they want to be like pampered. Like there was I remember like back in like about growing up in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, you didn't have this little green thing around your trampoline, right? You remember that? Right?
The thing that protects you
right
from the springs.
So my niece broke her arm. Cool. Now she knows that, like, you know, this is what's cool. Now you got to have like friggin' thing around it because someone broke an arm. So everybody's got to have that around.
Yeah.
Then the other thing is, like, when back in the 80s, right? I had one of our doctor friends that, you know, the kids, they had a trampoline. They had a hole in the trampoline in the corner, and we jumped on it all the time. And we knew not to jump in that hole or go near it, but we still, because it was a big trampoline, that we weren't supposed to be, you know, they never fixed it. For years, they never fixed it, but none of us kids got hurt because we know that's where the hole was.
Yeah.
And we never complained about that being a hole. And, you know, and now it's like,
we're like, excuse me, this isn't up to code.
Yeah. Or why? Hey, auntie, please fix that because I want to jump on it and I can't jump on it. This is that. Like, dude, well, you shouldn't even be near it if that's how you feel. Right?
Yeah, if you feel like you can't. Yeah. Another thing though with creatives is they want all the reward without the work.
That's it.
And not just that, but they want to be handheld. So like today I posted on Twitter, I was like, hey, this is the map that Walt Disney made in 1957 to help him grow his business. Look at it, learn it, do your own research, try to figure out, and I promise it's going to help you. So many people are like, tell me how to do it. And I'm like, no, you do your own research. I gave you step one. Like here it is. And they're like, well, you need to explain it to me. I'm like, you can do it yourself. Like, and they're like, oh, it's too much work. And I'm like, well, if it's too much work for you to Google something and learn about it, then or like even just look at the image for like 5 minutes. And I'm sure you can, if you're smart enough, you can deduce. Like, it's not very hard to deduce at least like that particular image. There's some other stuff that like I'll post, but I always say like Google it or go to this site. And like, cause I'm not going to explain it, but if you go to this site, I promise they'll explain it for you. And most creatives, they just go, oh, I have to do work, because the creative process is already a lot of work. Now to learn how to sell and market it, it's work. And like, they'll just complain, and then I'll get criticism, and then people get mad at me. And it's like, listen, it's like, you don't have to do it, but if you want the result, you got to do something. And I'm at least trying to point you in the direction of that something.
So, I mean, like, most of the people who complain, this is from 1960, right? From 1960, right? This is a comic made for girls, a digest, like, you know, manga size.
Yeah.
right, for girls in 1960s, and I've got 70s. I've got 10 from like that sort of period. And then, you know, when you look at that art and you go, well, those guys who are doing that were getting criticized and having to make things better because it's getting published. You know, each week they got to make sure. It's because you don't have crowdfunding there. You got a publisher, you know, on your back. You got an editor. You got his boss on his back going, make sure these are up to spec so we can sell it. Now, when you're doing for yourself, a lot of people cut corners because they, you know, they don't want to do the work. And like, I mean, like I said, I mean, I research as much as I can from an artist and go, here, and now please do it, and you know, do it something with it. But I mean, there's no reason not to learn from what's out here at the moment. There's so many people teaching, right? I mean, you're doing I mean, I haven't had the time to look at your draw and talk thing, because I like to, every time I come to an interview, I like to come without any knowledge.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good, because I nuked the channel. You wouldn't be able to. There's no videos on it.
So there's a couple comments that are made here. I want to touch on that. So there's, let me see if. Here we go. So this is Mesa Panda saying exactly, it's hard to crap on someone who's improved this from earlier when you're showing artwork on every single project. You can't argue with objective growth and improvement. And that's why we root for Tyler. We're seeing him evolved every day. Now, because that's the thing, right? Because you're on there every day showing stuff. You're doing your, you know, you got your channel. You're talking on other panels, you know, and stuff like that. And you're getting interviewed and stuff because you're knowledgeable. You've experienced it. A lot of us don't, you know, and I think that's because a lot of people, those who want to learn, are you know, watching and paying attention and not moaning and bitching, but those who don't are the ones who are complaining.
Yeah.
And so,
well, I remember like starting getting into the comic scene and the creator aspect of it, and I just remember being so lost.
Yeah.
And like when I started Draw and Talk, the goal was like create the channel that I wish I had, like my go-to. And you know, it's evolved throughout the years and stuff, but like at my core, I still want to be like, at my core, I always tell myself I'm going to stop like helping like indie creators, and I still post marketing stuff every week. But like, because like at my core, I'm like, I want to be the guy that like could point someone in the right direction, because for the first like 5 years of me doing it, I'm just like who can help me? But if someone were to just be like, this is how you do it, it would be huge.
So there's another one here. This is like can't be resistant to criticism. This was the webcomic artist. I don't know who this is. Andrew Dobson's downfall. He insulted and argued with everyone who critiqued his comics, even his own fans. Now he's nowhere to be found. Do you know much about that?
I don't, but I typed it up, and like it looks like he's completely out, but it looks like he like created a lot of drama and like various like stuff.
Yeah. So another one here is let me see. So reading this information on how Disney started as too much work. You know, quote, well, damn, if reading for 2 minutes is too much work, good luck drawing a comic page, because that's objectively way more work. Yeah, like hours, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
even like
even like I posted like a clip from like the movie Moneyball, and I was just like, if you understand this clip, like you're gonna do well in indie comics. And someone was like, explain the clip to me, and I'm like, it's pretty. He kind of just says exactly it, but you can't grasp it. And I try to explain to them. They go, I still don't get it. And I was like, then you should go watch the movie Moneyball. And they go, I don't want to watch a movie for 2 hours. And I'm like, then I don't.
Well, this is a new brand of artists. They want everything handed to them, right?
Yes.
Spoon fed. Like, here, feed me, because I'm too lazy to get off my butt to go find it for myself. Oh, I'm too lazy to just type it in. Like I mean, last year I decided to, or the year before I decided to buy my bass again, like, because I've always wanted a Jackson bass. And
nice, dude! I'm looking to buy a bass this year.
Yeah, so because I bought a Jackson because I've always wanted one, because I'm into Megadeth, right, in the 70s, like 80s, right? And so when I first got into bass playing, which was like about 19, I think, and I used to play in a punk band, and then at church, and so for about friggin' 30 years, I didn't have a bass. I owned 2-3 guitars, and later on I played guitar in 96, 2002 or something like that, and then like never had my a bass that I really wanted, and I just wanted. And it's an entry level Jackson, but it's a Jackson black bass that I've always wanted. But then how do I learn? I'm self-studying. You know how I'm self-studying? I'm looking up bass tabs for my favorite songs.
Yeah, and just like
yeah, and like the notes that are, string that.
Yeah.
Fourth, that, at 50, dude. I'm learning a bass at 50, and I never will be going out there to play for somebody, probably, or in a band.
But you're learning but you're like learning a new skill. I mean, that's the tough part that people think like, oh, I'm gonna start a YouTube channel, and you're like, dude, like just to learn how to even just to learn how to use StreamYard and get your microphone and your camera going, like you're reading some stuff. You're like, oh fuck, like why is this not like working? And people will just give up so quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, the other day I spent at my day job, and it sucked because it's something that I know I can do in 5 minutes, but I didn't know how to do it on a particular platform. I spent 6 hours just like learning how to do something that to me was the most simplest thing possible, but because I was unfamiliar with that company's system, I spent just 6 hours like, okay, how do I freaking do this? And like for this year, like I'm trying to do less YouTube videos, which is a lie, but like I want it more like online store sales, not like Kickstarter. And I'm like, okay, how do I get more traffic onto my site? And you're watching all these videos and whatnot. And I spent like the last 2-3 months trying to learn all this shit. And then this week I did a practice session where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do the thing that I've been learning how to do, and I did it, and it brought in 2 sales this week. And it was like on digital, so it was like $10. But I'm like, okay, like we're getting somewhere. I just did the thing, and it semi worked. Well, it worked enough to get me $10. Yeah. Okay, like, but that took 3 months of learning, and because I tried doing that thing several times and I got 0 sales. But I'm like, I know this works. But it took me 3 months of failures, and when I finally got to work, I'm like, I made $10. Like, oh shit, like, okay, I'm getting closer. I'm getting closer. But like with everything, that whenever you're learning something, a skill, it's not working, it worked, plateau, something went wrong, you failed, get back up. And most people, like, that you fail enough times, you're like, I just can't do any more robot. I mean, I'm sure like with bass, because I play bass as well, you'll go, okay, I can do that. The dun 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 dun, and then you go, okay, da 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 da, and then you go, okay, but then once you go bum 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 bum, then you're like, oh crap, that's actually hard, and you go, okay, I actually have to play slower, and I have to train, and then at that point, some people go, well, I'm never gonna get to that the going more, and then they give up. When it's like, no, if you just keep going slow, and then eventually you'll get to the speed that you want, and then they'll do that one riff, and they go, oh wait, now da 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 da, and they go, crap, now I can't get that part. No, go slow, then go slow, and now do it over and over. And people just don't want to get to that part, and it's aggravating because I feel like I want to be the dad to indie comics, and everyone's my children. And I'm like, why are you guys so lazy? Get to your room.
But like 90% of them don't want to learn, though, right? Yeah, and you'll find that like in 5 years from now, those who haven't set a goal for them for that 5 years to struggle, right? They'll be gone in that 5-year period, even less. And I think it's gonna really that whole crowdfunding thing is easy in the sense that like it's like free money, right? So a lot of people are getting involved with it. It's like getting a scholarship, right? In New Zealand, like when I was doing film school, I saw this happen. Like there was people that just drop out of school and come to the course, and then they were like within about 3 months they were gone. So they took some space from someone who was for real, and who were going to spend that 3 years and do it, and they took that space up, got that free thing, and now by the end of those 3 years, there's 16 people out of 30, right? And everybody kept dropping within months, and I was like going, these people didn't even research what they were getting into, right?
Yes.
They didn't even like. I mean, I came out of like I was saying, like I came out of doing skits, 3-minute scripts, doing like a short film, doing feature drama and all that. And my idea was, if I go there, I have to produce a feature-length film. That was my goal. I have to, at the end of it all. And I did, right? It's a student feature, so, it's not like it's clanky and all that.
But you did it.
And a lot of people who went, oh, yeah, I'm going to just waffle through it. I mean, I watch people go, not get work on time and get credited, get extensions. And I'm like, dude, I've got a wife. I got to work 40 hours, like 30 hours a week. I'm doing Saturday work. I'm working part-time through the week as a chef, in a sports bar cooking food. I'm going home. Then I'm going back to friggin' school to the next morning to the job and all this. And I'm like, how do these people who don't have any of that, right, are single,
are able to not. There's for the last like 5 years, not like 3 years, I've been listening to there's this movie by Adam Sandler. I forget what it's called, but it's a basketball one. And the trailer, he has this like speech that he's telling this player, and the speech is he's like, "Are you obsessed? Are you obsessed with the game?" And luckily they never ever say the word basketball in the speech, so I always just tailored it to comics. But he's like, "Are you obsessed?" He goes, "You can have all the talent in the world, but are you obsessed? Because obsession beats talent every day." And when I talk to the people who are like, "Tyler, how do you have all this time to do comics? You're at full-time job," and I go, "What was the last video game you played? What's the last TV show you watched? What's the last movie?" Because I can tell you, I haven't seen a movie in the theater in like months. I don't know what's on TV right now, and I haven't. And like, if I do play video games, but I play and this sounds so gay. I put a timer on. I have a timer on my phone. I go 20 minutes and I play. Once that beep is off, I could be mid gunfight and I turn it off and I go, okay, back. But it's like, if I'm watching TV, there's an hour of my day gone. There's an hour of my night gone. If I watch a movie, there's 2 to 3 hours of my night gone. If I play video games, it could be like 5 hours of my night gone. So it's like, and all that time could have been going to marketing, making a video, streaming, or more importantly, making the fucking comic. And so when people are like, how do you have time? It's just like, I make the time, and I have sacrificed all these other things that to me aren't important. And they're like, well, I want to watch a movie. They go, that movie's more important than your comic. Yeah. And going back to the obsession thing, I'm like, I will beat you I will beat any creator who isn't as obsessed as I am. And they're like, well, I'm a better artist. It's like, I don't care. I'll still beat you. I will still beat you objectively in like marketing and sales. And so like that's it sucks. It sucks, like, because I want to watch TV shows and I want to watch movies, and there's some new video games that people are talking about. I'm like, that looks fun, but I know like if I do that, like, I'm not gonna put out the comic. I'm not gonna tell the stories that I want, and it's the like, what's important, like the instant gratification of playing the game or putting out a comic book. And like, for me, those make money. So, and that money could go to a college fund for my kid in a couple of years. So it's like, what's more important, that TV show or building a future for myself and my family? That one. And I might not see the returns for another 5 years, but it's more important for me. I didn't make money for the first 7 years of making comics. And but because I did those first 7 years, I'm now making money in comics. So, but I see a lot of creators like, oh, I'm not making money in comics. I didn't make money in the first 7 years of making comics. So it's like, you're fine. You're still going. But you can't quit. Without those 7 years, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now.
We released a comic like on Kickstarter just last year, and I've been writing for friggin' about 94, right?
So like, as long as I've been alive.
Yeah. So since 94, I've been writing like novellas, all that stuff, and like stuff like we're talking about performing, right? I write stage plays and stuff, and I write short films and all that shit. But skilling. All that time I'm skilling, and I'm skilling. Even last year I released a webcomic, in print form, and I was like disgusted with my own content in it. And I just turned around and went, you know what? I am going to get an artist to do this now. Redo it.
Yeah.
Rewrote it. Got a professional artist to do it. Looks like a friggin' $1 million as far as I'm concerned. I will put it up right there with Marvel and DC right now, but it didn't do jack shit on it didn't fail, right?
Yeah.
On Kickstarter. It made about $1,200 US, which is about $1,800.
But is that your first Kickstarter?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. I mean, we had another one was going to be like a magazine, but COVID hit, so I pulled it off.
Yeah.
But so the thing is, you got to start somewhere, right?
Yes.
And a lot of people are so afraid.
Yeah, they're so afraid. And even now, we're like my Kickstarters, all of them at this point do over 10K. Yeah. Dude, I was cheering for that $10 sale I got this week. Because I'm like, yes, like that's what I'm talking
another
about.
Market, right? You opened another market.
Yes, I'm like,
your fans.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm like, yes, I figured this shit out. And it's just all about, it's about growing, working hard, and just every single day trying to make yourself a better creator.
Awesome. So I'm going to do the final word. So every time we do, we have guest stuff. We give you like a 3 to 5 minutes where I put you on solo and you give your final words. And it basically, it's, you tie up what you want to say to to people as like whatever, it's words of inspiration or whatever. Yeah. But it's like, I call it like the words of wisdom. And I get everybody to do this.
All right.
Because people need to hear, something, from people who are doing it. And I think we need a bit of that insight. I mean, at the end of it, rounding it up.
Yeah. Don't be a bitch. No. My new thing for 2024 is normalize doing this for fun. Just like for the last 8 years, I've been grinding. I'm like, I want to do this full time. That's all my mindset has been. And now this year, I'm like, normalize this being a hobby. Normalize having fun. Normalize just making the story that you want to tell and having fun. But that doesn't give you the excuse of complaining about no sales and no readers. Because even though it's a hobby, if you still want readers and if you still want sales, you need to put the work in. You need to start learning some sales and marketing tactics. Follow me at Tyler_C_world, and I will show you some books. I will try to point you in the right direction. I'm not going to hold your hand. I'll try sometimes, but at the end of the day, if you're willing to put in the work and grind it out and struggle and fail and get back up and then fail, like, you'll get results. And it might mean to get those results, you need to get better at writing. And it might mean you need to get better at drawing. You might fail in sales and realize that it's because you're failing in art. So now you got to go fix the art and then fix the sales. But if you're willing to do all of that stuff, it'll work out. You'll figure out something. But you have to be willing to do the work and not give up. So that's my mantra for 2024. Have fun, work hard, and always have a silly use time. But thanks, Aru, for having me on, man.
Awesome, dude. Thank you for the time.
And don't be a bitch in 2024. That's don't be a bitch.
This is in final here. Hey, thank you, Chet, for hanging out and having input in this. I enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys are subbing to the channel, because next week we got Max DeVille, and then after that we got John Stinson, right, from Image and stuff like that, and Naomi Comics cover artist and artist. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. But this is Cricket Painter says, wave your piece around and let your haters know what's up.
He knows that I have a gun right there. He wants me to. I'm not gonna. I won't do that on your stream.
In New Zealand, there's like laws about guns, and we don't do that. So I have a crossbow.
There you go.
Right? So there's rules and regulations. We're not like in America. That's a very different situation to the rest of the world, where you can carry your legal. But I would carry one if I was in America. I would have a couple, to be honest.
Yeah, dude.
But thank you, Tyler. I really appreciate it. It was great to get to.
Thanks for having me, man.
You, right, and to have this discussion, and and I really appreciate it for taking your time, because I know how that's 2 hours of your time away from writing and your family. So I'm always, you know, always appreciate it. Thank you so much.
No, I appreciate you for taking time out of your day. This has been a great interview. Like, this is probably like my favorite one I've done this year so far. So I appreciate it.
Awesome, dude. Thank you. Oh yeah, it's only a couple weeks.
But I've done like 4 already, and like this is my favorite out of the 4. So
I'm glad you had fun, man. Like, yeah, I appreciate it. So everybody else, thank you for hanging out. And if you're watching on this on replay, please like and subscribe and stuff, and all the beautiful stuff. And like Tyler said, Tyler_C_world on Twitter. Also, Draw and Talk on Facebook. No, it's Draw and Talk on Facebook as well as YouTube, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't do anything on Facebook.
Cool. All right, YouTube it is. So thank you. Have a good day, guys. All the best for your day.
Peace out.
Bye.